Hello everyone and welcome to Leetcode 217 contains duplicate. Now this is a very beginner friendly problem, so let's finish it real quick. Given an integer array nums, return true if any value appears at least twice in the array, and return false if every element is distinct. And here let's just look at the example. And since we see that 1 repeats twice, and it says at least twice, we can just return true. But how will we go about arriving to the solution? The first thing that comes to mind is probably that we should compare 1 with each of these values, right, and see if it's equal to any of them. And when it is, we just return true. But this would result in an O of n squared time complexity, because for each element in the list, we're going to iterate through the list once again. So a way to reduce the time complexity to O of n would be actually to create a set, right, a new set, and just assume that it's empty for now. And as we add each value to the set, we're gonna check, is this already in the set or no? And since for 1 here it's not there, s is gonna get added, and 2 is gonna get added, and 3 is gonna get added. But once we reach this, our condition is satisfied, and under the condition we'll just have a return true. So if there is a duplicate, it will return true, right? And in this case the code will end because true will be returned. If this one wasn't there, right, our code would just end here, and we could have a return false after the entire for loop for it to return false. Now you might be wondering why we used a set instead of a list, which is a much more common concept in Python. This is because as lists get longer and longer, operations on them start to take longer and longer, but for sets the speed essentially remains the same. So if we had a really long list, that probably would not be able to run, while if we had a really long set, it would take around the same amount of time as it would for, say, this set, which is very small. Anyways, let's go on to the code. So here let's just start off with defining our set, or initializing our set, and we're just going to do it like this. And now we have to iterate through the list nums. Okay, we're gonna have to use range here. We can just iterate through nums, check if I in set 1, return true, and if I is not in set 1, then we can do set1 dot add, which is how you add an element to a set, I. And so it's gonna keep running this until the list ends, or until a true is returned. And if the whole thing runs without returning true, I think it's safe to say that we can return false. So let's just run this code and check if it works. There we go. And if we submit, it should, yeah, there we go. Now if you use list as I did the first time, you'd get an error of this code took too long to run. And there are some cases where the lists are extremely long, and that's why it does that. But here, since we use a set, it ran pretty quickly and satisfied all the test cases. Thank you for watching.